Okay, lots of changes to this one. I think to me, this almost feels like the proper version 1 release. So this is some of the heads I've been sculpting while I've been testing this app. So a nice variety of stuff. I'm amazed that running on a standalone headset, so this is the Galaxy XR, I can load this. I can hear the fans are going a little bit crazy, but so each of these is lots of polygons. So each is nearly 100,000. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is about 16. So a lot of polygons, and I can still work with this interactively. But let me just calm it down. Let's go with, say, this one, and go invert and show hide. So may as well start with this. So this is something I did most recently. So I tidied up the outliner. So we have proper selection stuff. You can hide and show and invert and do all the usual things you would expect, which is pretty cool. So I'm just going to go back to hide all those and just show this one. Go none. That's a boring one. Let's go. Which one do I like? Let's go with no. I'll keep going until I find the one I want. Maybe that guy. Yeah, let's go with that guy. So let's go invert and hide. And also hide you. Okay. So select none. I got to tidy this up a bit, but I mean, so far it's working pretty well. So anyway, what I've done now is if you go to the About menu, I've got the most recent like X100 changelog, so you can kind of see what's going on. So the last video I made, I think we were down at version 1.0.81 or 0.82. So there was the cut tool that needed a bit of cleanup. So that's been sort of fixed up. So undo on that works better. Let's see if I can preview how that works. So I'm going to go to here. I'm going to restore some subject levels. Let's go down to this level. Looks pretty good. So with the cut tool now, I'm going to delete the pi levels for now because this is low poly editing. So go to the cut tool, and these things were kind of working before, but it's a lot more reliable now. So if we want to add in a loop, let's say we want to add in a loop around the lips, for example, which I think is the demo I did last time. So you can click to select and snap through. If you make a mistake, you can use the left thumbstick to reverse back. So you can just keep going, and then when you're done, you can double click and it'll do that. The mirroring tools work better now. So I've just done half of this here. If we go down to topology and mirror right to left, it properly mirrors and fixes things up. There's a mistake there, so I can fix that. So you can see I've got a few sort of like bad edges through here, but that's all right. We can fix that. So all these tools now are pretty reliable. Undo works better with most of them. So I think I can weld now. So I could say, realize that these chip points should be welded together. Actually, I'm just going to delete the face. So let's go just tidy up through here. So I've got this mostly cleaned up. So there's a whole bunch of nasty stuff through here. So let's just do a clean up. Sometimes you get these like sort of wacky wireframes, but usually it's pretty good if you just keep undoing bravely. It'll clean up. Nearly there. Got to get rid of this one. Yeah. Actually, I've made a fool of myself. Anyway, let's go back to how it was back here, I think. Yep. And let's see if I can run a fill hole in this section. Yeah, and it does a pretty good fill hole. So if you've got a clean sort of X by Y hole, it will try and sort of patch it in a clean way. Let's see if I can demo that better. I think I did this in the last video, but it's good to see it again from scratch. So delete these one to this 4-sided patch. When you go fill hole, it should patch it cleanly, which is nice. Back to the list. So undo redo works for the cut as well. A lot of this is sort of technical stuff where I was getting kind of weird results, and it was because of the data structures we're kind of assuming for one thing. sculptxr was never designed to do sort of low poly editing, so I had to kind of understand the data structures that it expects and fix that up. So that's all this kind of stuff. Yeah, more of this stuff. So just like a lot of undo redo fixes. The symmetry mirroring is definitely sort of working better. So when you had like sort of non-trivial center lines, it was getting quite confused. I was using a library to do it. I've now it's now just doing it itself using raw JavaScript, so it's much easier to edit and maintain. So it's working pretty well now, I feel. when you weld on the center line. That's what all this stuff was. It took a while. A little quality of life thing, tilt control. So by default, I like the stylus to just point straight out of the thing. Someone at some point mentioned that they like it to be tilted. You can do that here now. So in settings under stylus tilt, you can affect this up or downness. So now it's more sort of in a more natural position if you like that. So you can just sculpt more down this way. But I prefer it to just be at 0 or as close to 0 as I can. So that's fine. That was that one. Yeah, just a few more kind of like UI fixes for some of the topology menu stuff. So this was getting quite messy, this whole thing. It's now been tidied up so that we've just got sort of multi-res at the top, and then all the various remeshing operations are just under this drop-down here. So mesh to voxels will we'll convert this into a voxel mesh ready to be sort of voxel sculpted. So let's try that. So now I'm in voxel mode, so I can do my usual sort of like squidgy voxel sculpting. Should be able to undo that. Let's have a look. We can. Awesome. We've got the quad remesher. So let's try this out. So what I'm finding is if I push that up to say like about that and quad remesh, I try to make this non-blocking, so you can see it going. The nature of a lot of these plugins I'm using, so this inset meshes library, is it doesn't give you status updates as it runs. So the best I can do is just make sure it doesn't sort of block and lock up the UI, but it'll just return when it's done. So you can see that's done a quad remesh. This is as much control as you can give it. But what you can do is now I can say mirror that on the center line, and then you can go and sort of patch it up. So I can try and, so you can see there's a few like sort of triangle faces that probably shouldn't be there. I can say to leave the existing quads alone and try and quadrangulate what's left behind. So it gets a bit more of a cleanup. And then you can go in and patch up. So I would start to cutting lines and things. Another thing, do I keep in order of the release notes? Yes, I do. I will. So you got the quad remesher. This was an early attempt at doing sort of like a clean cut in half thing. Let's just try it. Proved to be not that useful in the end. I think it might have even disabled it. Then remesh. So this is a quad remesh, but using, so this in one step goes from polys to voxels and back again. So if I try this, so if I set the resolution like say that and remesh, hey, that's funny. Luckily, I can undo it. And then I got these two features coming from a library called Baby Shark. So if I go, so decimate, we'll try and sort of keep the existing shape. And it's like the decimate tool inside Nomad. So it'll do like whatever sort of like big and small polygons it can and try and sort of like conform the shape as best it can. You can see these are all the holes that are made before I feel. I'm just going to ignore this mesh and go to another one. Let's go to, what have we got? Where are my meshes? This guy. So let's turn on the wireframe again for him. So let's try that decimate again. So decimate to, like say, this amount of phase is 15,000. So you decimate, wait for a bit. And this should, touch wood, do a pretty good job of, it'll put big faces where it can put them, it'll put small faces where it needs them. A good base for then feeding into the quad remesh algorithm. Yeah, so that's done, so it's like a mix of big and small faces. The other one tries to do even faces. So you kind of set the edge length. I should make it do a visual preview of it. But if I go that one, I only just found out this is called isotropic triangle remeshing. So if ever you get asked, there you go. That's pretty isotropic to me. So let's go maybe slightly smaller edges. So let's go to like 0.7, remesh isotropic. See how we do. Yeah. So it does a nice sort of even triangle layout, which is pretty cool. Yeah, that's all that. So that's all this kind of stuff. Data clones. Again, just like getting the features in was easy, but making it be kind of consistent and not drop the colors if there were painted colors on the mesh, making sure the normals were correct was just a bit of work. it all felt a little bit slow, I found. And what it turns out is that this is using WebAssembly, but it seems that browsers will use single-threaded only. So this native library, if you run it on your PC, uses multiple threads, and it can remesh a fairly dense mesh in like 3 milliseconds. It's crazy fast. But on this one in the browser, that drops down to about 7 seconds. I don't think I can fix that, but that's the concessions, free software, open source software. You get what you get. Again, more just like sort of bookkeeping to make sure that that processing thing you saw works correctly. This one. So this is the fun one. So this is a new brush. So I tried this once before. It didn't work. Then I had another go. It's called Slide. Where it is. So Slide, what this will do is it will, when you click, it makes a temporary copy of the mesh and then tries to slide the features over it. So there you can't see much of it, but if I go to an area of like fairly high curvature here, as I slide, it's trying to sort of like conform it over the surface. This has two modes. So one, it's doing a direct move, but it's always constraining. If you go to the alt mode by pressing A, so that becomes red, this is a surface constrained smooth. So if I do this, I can just like sort of relax out bits, but it will stay. It won't wash away detail. It'll keep the curvature as best it can. So see how like that's sort of trying to maintain the curvature, even there. Whereas if I ran like a smooth, so if I press that trigger and go smooth, that will lose detail. So this is pretty handy for just like if you've got like sort of the thorny areas, it can just like smooth it down, but you won't lose detail on the surface. So there's like a spike there, and if I relax, you can see that little kind of like, eye bit there stays, which is pretty handy. So if you want to sort of just like do a quick pass but maintain the shape, I was really proud of this one. And then to go back into the other mode, this is handy where, if you've got the shape, but the edge flow isn't quite right, well, you can sort of conform it. So I might want to have these edges drift a bit more. It's a heavy operation. So on this machine, on this headset, you can see that was crunching. But if I kind of tilt, I can make these edges flow along the local curvature, which is quite cool. A lot of these features are sort of getting into things that I should probably just limit to the desktop build, but devices are getting faster and faster. One day this will be fast enough to support it. So like here, for example, I'm getting into the primary mode, and I might like try and have these edges actually flow along the lip crease. So I can just like do a bit of a subtle push and pull around. I'll keep playing with this brush, but I like where this is going. This is kind of stuff that I've kind of wanted to do for a while in other painting, sculpting apps. So you can just do like a bit of a tap down. I can also reduce the intensity. Actually, it's not reducing the intensity, so I have to make sure that I can slide that scale up and down. But anyway, you can see what that does. Slide is pretty cool. What else we got? I was finding that if you go from this mesh and we're rebuilding lower level subdivs, the wireframe would start to freak out. But I think now it's pretty solid. So I can reverse down, and then I can go up through the levels. And before, this would make a crazy tangled mess of the wireframes, but this is now working reliably, which is really nice. If you are up at a high level and you want to do some low poly editing, so this is using the thing where I'm previewing the low res cage on top of the high res sculpt. But if I just want to quickly jump into the low res, I can do low poly edits. I've added this button, so this is back to the low res cage and nothing else. What else? Just adding some more useful info here. So if I start to subdivide, this now tells you what's going on. So I'm at level 2, this is 98,000 polygons. The base cage is 6,000. So I even go back down to the low level one. Here we go. So I'm at level 1 of 2. I'm going to go, there we are. Why can't I reverse out? That's interesting. I can't go lower. Yeah, another bug. I'll fix that. else we got? Yeah, that's what this is. Just trying to take this menu. Yes. So another low poly tool that I added. So I go del higher, 0 and del higher. That's strange. I'm going to go to a different mesh. Let's go with yeah, this guy. He's fun. So I can jump over to him. Go here, you. So let's go look at his wireframe again. I'm going to go down through the subdivs. Let's go to this level. Maybe one more. Yep. Jump to 0, del higher. Okay. So I've got it extrude and inset. So you can go to extrude and just the nearest face will be extruded out. So it should follow your cursor. I can already feel this is going strange. I think this is because I am, I've moved these things way away from the origin. I've never really supported that before, but this works pretty well. So if you need to, do a quick base cage for a shape, this works quite well. The other nice thing that I kind of had to work out was, again, this works in theory, but the subdivision algorithms sculptxr uses wasn't happy with it, so I had to make sure it was kind of blessing the topology as it goes. So now if I subdivide that, it should subdivide cleanly, which it does. I'm pleased that works. If I go back to the base cage, 0, 0, you've also got an inset tool. Oh, and the other thing is working out how to properly handle how things extrude at the seam line. So if I do this one, that kind of works as you'd expect. But if I turn off keep together, I can pull these apart. So that's useful. Similarly, inset tool. So I can inset on a face. It's based upon like distance from this like temporary pivot point. So the further away you are, the deeper the pivot, and does the same thing on the middle. So I can do them separately, or I can turn on keep together and it should do that. In theory, it should be pretty easy to make it work with a mask, but I haven't actually wired that up yet. That is to come. I think we're nearly at the end of the features. I hope we are. Yeah, that's all about the undoing, just making sure that works properly. Yep, boring by boring. That's just all the features for that thing. Don't care. That's the little marker I showed you. This thing. So just adding into the about menu. This is the last X sort of feature list. A little thing for me so I can make these demos is wherever I scroll to, when you go away from the menu and back into it, it goes back to where you left off. Boring, but I found that quite handy. And then, yeah, I think I talked about all the stuff in the scene menu. So this is all tidied up, a little bit easy to use. A lot of stuff. I think to me, this feels like it's pretty much at a solid place for others to, risk using things and get quite sort of fancy with the models. I find this save and load to local storage quite handy. Yeah, I gotta stop talking now. Let me know what you think. I think it's pretty cool. Enjoy.